welcome to you all, whether it's your first time or your 100th time joining Red Wine and Blue tonight. My name is Katie Paris, and I'm the founder of Red Wine and Blue. Heather Cox Richardson, are you with us tonight?
I am. And I just have to say, I am grinning here because people write to me all the time and they tell me they're frightened and they feel alone and they don't know what we can possibly do to take back democracy. And on my Zoom, there are 30,000 people here already.
People came here tonight, Heather, because they want to hear Heather Cox Richardson talk Project 2025.
They do not believe in democracy. They believe that treating everybody equal before the law, which is the hallmark of a democracy, weakens a nation by requiring women to be treated equally, LGBTQ plus people being treated equally, and minorities being treated equally. And they believe that those things weaken a nation. Their idea is to get rid of democracy, get rid of the legal system that makes everybody treated equally, and instead create a very strong central figure who will impose the kind of Christianity on the country that they would like to see. So that's sort of the big picture of what's at stake in Project 2025.
I want to play a clip from the president of the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts.
We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
I actually do believe we're in the middle of an American revolution, but it's not his, it's ours. More than 80% of America want things like common sense gun safety legislation, reproductive rights, all the things that we hold so dear. We are stepping up to the plate and saying, no, a few people have tried to take over the levers of power in our democracy, and they're trying to impose minority rule on the rest of us. And we're not going to put up with it. We're going to push back and restore American democracy. So in a way, it's an American revolution, but it is one that reasserts our original principles, although that radical extremist group on the right wants to say that it is, in their minds, the left that is violent. In fact, it's the opposite. It's the right-wing extremists, the neo-Nazis, the KKK, the militias that are the ones creating violence in our streets. So those of us who would like to have a community where we can interact with our neighbors and we can have jobs that pay living wages and that we can have decent educations for our kids and all those sort of things that we want, we're actually the ones who are holding steady. We're the ones holding the middle. We're the ones who are moving into the future, but also in a really cool way, reaching back to our past. We are those people who are the great center of America who has saved it in the past, and we'll save it again.
I want to invite a few of our local grassroots leaders. These are Trouble Nation leaders. Trouble Nation is our national organizing program that helps grassroots groups locally get started and helps those that already exist grow and strengthen by connecting them with others in their area.
I was not political until all this happened. And then I just really got motivated. And we started the Temecula Valley Resistors. We have 64 people now. We started with 2.
We're a new group and we only had 5 members when we started. But when we listed our Project 2025 series, we're now up to 40 members. And that's just because people are wanting to learn more about Project 2025.
The feedback I'm getting is that, people don't know about Project 2025. I was shocked.
How important is it for these women, what they're doing locally to take this kind of action?
It's everything. Women's organizing has changed American society. We have skills and connections, sometimes money, understanding of the world, and the ability to execute plans to change it. And I don't think it's an accident that in this moment in which that's the case, there is something like Project 2025 that is trying to destroy those rights and puts them back into a situation where they don't have control over their reproductive health, which is the first thing that women need to be able to take those larger roles in society. We've always been important, but this feels like a game changer, both historically and in this particular moment.
As Project 2025 has started to get a little bit more attention, Heather, Trump and Republicans are trying to downplay it. I believe Trump said recently they've never even heard of it.
That's ridiculous. The people who wrote Project 2025 were in Trump's first administration. They are in line for other positions if there is a second administration. He introduced the project. His own PAC advertised it as the Trump Project 2025 plan. The fact that J.D. Vance is the person that President Trump has tapped to be his vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance doesn't really bring anything that a normal vice presidential candidate would bring to a ticket. He doesn't bring in a new constituency. He doesn't bring in anything except his support for everything Trump and for Project 2025, which he has praised. And JD Vance has the skills to put it in place when Trump can't focus on anything. He's the one who will be able to do that. Project 2025 is central to the Trump presidency in the past, but also going into the future. A lot of political platforms have kind of coded language. You have to look and understand what you're seeing. In Project 2025, it says that life will be protected from the beginning. What they are referring to is something called a fetal personhood bill. 14th Amendment to the Constitution says Congress shall have the power to enforce this amendment by appropriate legislation. The US Congress, according to this theory, has the power to say to the entire country, the minute a sperm meets an egg, it has all the rights of a human being. And then there goes abortion at a national level, IVF, certain kinds of contraception, and a legal code for what happens when somebody loses a pregnancy. And that is absolutely in Project 2025. So somebody who says, well, they're not saying we want a national abortion ban, is somebody who does not understand the legal and the historic angle of the idea behind a fetal personhood bill. Here's another one. When they keep saying they're not coming for Social Security, and they always say, oh, that's never going to happen. That's not what we mean. And they've gone forward and said, we're going to protect Social Security. Real doublespeak. What they mean by that is they're going to save Social Security by raising the age at which people can claim it, and by reducing the benefits. Now, if that isn't a cut to Social Security without saying it's a cut to Social Security, I don't know what is.
Here's where we pivot from the doom, the gloom. The key to beating Project 2025 is flipping the numbers. Jess McIntosh, she is our messaging expert.
The most important thing to remember is that over 70% of Americans don't know what Project 2025 is. That means you are talking to almost everybody. The majority of Americans agree with us on most of the things. They want public education to be good and quality and well-rounded. They want kids to be safe and in inclusive, welcoming spaces. They want women and people who can get pregnant to have access to the reproductive care that they need. They want to plan their own families, all the basic stuff. So when you combine that most people agree with us on most things, and most people have never heard about Project 2025, feel free to talk about it. Almost everybody you will encounter both agrees with you and doesn't know what's going on. The way to do it is through emotional resonance. You want to meet them where they are, as parents, as community members, as people who are frightened. It's about making that human connection and finding common ground.
I want to bring on Tori. Tori, you are a military spouse. Give us an example of how on the ground you're personalizing, because the attacks on vets are so real.
When you talk about vets and you talk about reducing their benefits, it gets really, really personal for a lot of people in all of our states. These are the men and women who stand on our behalf and protect our freedom and our rights. We have to stand up today and say, not on our watch, and we have to fight back. And I think that common ground is a really good place to start.
If Trump is reelected, one of the things in Project 2025 says we will not have a military that is loyal to its own rules and regulations in the US Constitution. He will appoint people who are loyal to him alone. That's really clear. So we lose everything that Tori's talking about, and we give it all to an authoritarian.
Tonight is really only the beginning.
The way you change society is one person at a time. There is nothing more valuable than that. And what Red, Wine, and Blue does is it gives you the tools to do that. There's a lot going on that we've never seen in the United States before, and it's a frightening time. It's also a time of extraordinary joy. I mean, we get to do this. We get to create a new nation. It's certainly worth being frightened, but it's also kind of worth thinking about this as a bit of a celebration. You know, it's a party, and I don't mean a political party. I mean, it is a celebration that I'm incredibly excited to be part of. And the fact that Red, Wine, and Blue provides the tools and the connections so that people can see not only that they're part of something bigger, but how to bring it home and find your squad, find your people in your own town and in your own state. That's really cool. The history books will write about this. And to be part of this moment is sort of a quiet revolution, but it's one that it's really an honor to be part of this longer conversation about what it means to achieve human self-determination in our world.
You couldn't have said it better, Heather. Stay for the party. Stay to save democracy. There is joy here. There's joy up in this piece, people. We have got to be joyful and celebrate what we can do together.